So for any moms listening that are currently pregnant that are like, I want to breastfeed, what are your main tips for getting them prepared and ready to start that journey?
I think one of the biggest things is having a support network. And for some, that's easier than others, but thankfully with the internet, there's even more options. And you have to be careful, obviously, with what groups and what pages you follow, because there's a lot of not great information out there, but finding a group of people that you can rely on for breastfeeding support. And that, there's different layers of that. There's professional. So finding a lactation consultant that you trust and you really like to work with, or, a breastfeeding friendly pediatrician and care providers that are going to be supportive, and seeing like if your hospital has a group that you can go to after. A lot of hospitals have breastfeeding groups you can go to for free. And then there's other local ones like La Leche League groups. And so I think that that's really important. I also think getting a prenatal consult can be really, really valuable. I think a lot of people don't even know that those exist, but a lot of IBCLCs, I'm training to be one, and I do consults with my mentor, and we do the prenatal ones, and they can be super, super beneficial to kind of preempt any issues you might have, any health issues, that you may not have realized. Like a lot of people don't realize that PCOS can cause issues with milk supply, or, getting a breast exam, because IGT, the insufficient glandular tissue, is one of the leading reasons for not physically being able to produce a full milk supply. So working with a lactation consultant to kind of answer all your questions can be super valuable. And then from there, education, like you can, take all the classes and read all the books and things, still know how breastfeeding works, just the basic processes of, milk supply and supply and demand, because a lot of people don't even realize how milk is produced, and that feeding frequently is the best thing you can do in most situations for your milk supply, or what to do right after the baby's born, or what alternatives there are if you are having milk supply issues or you need to supplement. So prenatal education is so important. And I obviously have classes I have online, but an in-person class can be fantastic as well. So I just think learning all you can and getting that support before the baby comes is really important.
Awesome. And how soon do you think someone should start preparing? Like, is it as soon as they find out they're pregnant? Is it in the second trimester? Like, when do you think it's time to really start narrowing down your providers and the education and support around you?
You could really do it at any point, but I think second trimester is kind of the sweet spot where, you've kind of gotten past that initial, for most people, the sickness and the exhaustion from the first trimester, and it's before the exhaustion from the third trimester comes, where you're trying to get everything ready for baby. So I think second trimester is a great time to find your providers and start asking in Facebook groups for people, because there's so many wonderful pediatricians and family doctors out there that are so great, but not all of them specialize in breastfeeding. And it's important to find one that totally does, because most of them, they'll say they love breastfeeding and they support you, but finding someone who really understands it and understands your goals to breastfeed is really valuable. So I think second trimester is great, especially for the education. It'll be more fresh in your mind than if you take it, during the first trimester or whatever. So like if you take an online class, you usually will have access to that forever, so you can always reference back. But if you're taking an in-person class, second trimester to early third, I would say, is best for taking a class.